Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the GallowgateShots podcast and YouTube channel. We are back with yet another match reaction. This one, a very tired match reaction because I am absolutely shattered. Nickel, who's joining us, is knackered. Ian, how are you feeling? Are you wide awake? You had a good night's sleep, mate?
Aye, surprisingly. Because I used all my energy berating the telly last night, so that helped with sleep. Probably not as tight as used to, though.
Yeah, so I've rocked up at just after, I think it was around 20 to 3. I rocked on the house this morning. Nickel, you were around a similar time, weren't you?
Yeah, about 3 a.m. this morning, after a McDonald's trip.
Tough one. It was a tough one on the way back because there was a fair few lane closures on the way back from Blackburn, which took a lifetime to get around. But let's focus on the match, boys. Newcastle United scraped their way through the 5th round of the FA Cup against Blackburn. And I think I mentioned this on the match preview that I was expecting a scrappy game. By God, did we get a scrappy game from Newcastle's point of view? Probably. Blackburn, and I'll come straight to you, Ian. I was unbelievably impressed of how much they took the game to us last night.
Aye, massively. I think you may be at fault for it because on Monday night you said it's going to be 3-4-0, Blackburn are shite.
Yeah, I got a bit overconfident on Monday night. Yeah.
Well, you know what it is? Like, I don't really pay attention to the Championship or anything like that, but on face value, I think they were maybe 3-4 points above the relegation zone. I know the new managers went in, hasn't had a win yet, 3 draws and a loss. So, and then you felt after our performance on Saturday that the players would have something to prove and something to show that they're still capable of getting into the sort of upper echelons of the Premier League. But for me, I just thought if you didn't watch football and you were told one team was a Premier League team, one team was a Championship team, you wouldn't have had a clue which one was which yesterday. That's how bad I thought the performance was.
I think you'd probably be binning both teams in the Championship, to be fair, because the quality was there in a certain with a certain point where we could get the ball up the field. But as soon as both teams got in the final third, we just couldn't finish the chances, and that was the story of the night. I think it was probably a great game for a neutral to watch because it was quite end-to-end at times. Nickel, before would jump into the game itself, I just want to look at Newcastle starting 11 because I think a lot of people, well, it's probably split down the middle. A lot of fans thought that the lads that were out against Arsenal on Saturday should be given the chance to go back in and fix what happened at the Emirates. But then, obviously, you've got to remember, you've got to give other players a chance. Obviously, the cup games are the best games to do that in. So just going through the starting 11 quickly, we had Dubravka in goal, who obviously replaced Karius. Dubravka back from his illness. We'll touch on Dubravka a lot more throughout the show. Lascelles came back in alongside Fabian Shaw, so Botman dropped. Trippier in at right back. Burn returning back at left back. Longstaff, Willock, and Bruno in the centre midfield positions. And Gordon, Murphy on the flanks, and Isak up top. Any shocks for you in that starting line? Because I'll give you my opinion first of all. I wasn't expecting to see Isak start that game.
I don't think Isak was my biggest shock. I think Joe Willock was probably my biggest shock, if I'm honest. I didn't think he would start the game. I thought he would come on again because he only got about 15, 20 minutes at Arsenal, didn't he? So it wasn't like he'd had a lot of playing time. Lascelles also maybe a bit of a shock, but I suppose he's been out as well. So getting some minutes into his legs was probably important as well, and give Botman a bit of a rest because it's been pretty full on for him since he's come back from his break.
Yeah. Anything for you, Ian, point of view, player wise? Any shocks or changes?
I wasn't. If I'm honest, I wasn't expecting Dubravka to play. I thought even if he had been fit, I thought he might have just went with Karius.
Is that because Karius done pretty well, despite conceding 4 goals? He didn't really do anything wrong against Arsenal.
Yeah, he looked fairly solid. I don't think any of the goals that were conceded against Arsenal you could sort of attribute to him. We've only seen him twice in the entirety that he's been here, so it would have been nice to see him. But that being said, I'm glad Dubravka was in goal, just based on his performance, which obviously we'll touch on.
We'll stick with it. Ian. So Dubravka is called in the action in the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, where it's an absolute fantastic save and he tips it around the post to his right hand side. There is a Blackburn player running in at the far post, but obviously Dubravka's touch just takes that away. Throughout the game, I thought both goalkeepers had decent games because of a called interaction throughout the game. Hence why I said at the start of this one that both teams just couldn't finish the chances at times because there was an abundance of chances throughout there, Nicola. If we just look at some of them, so Newcastle had a total of 19 shots at goal, and Blackburn had a total of 16. 8 of Newcastle's on target, and 9 of Blackburn's on target as well. So it was pretty end to end throughout that. So the keepers were called into action throughout.
Yeah, obviously we had a lot of the ball and a lot of possession. I think we just had over 60% of it. But both teams, had fair chances to score. I think probably in the first half, Blackburn had the better of them. Really, you mentioned that one where Dubravka's tipped it around, and then there was another one as well towards half time. So both keepers had really good games, to be honest. And I don't know if that's good for them, and but maybe that says something about the quality that was on the pitch as well in terms of the finishing.
Yeah. So, Ian, just to fire through the first half, it goes in nils each. And yes, I'm saying it was end, but really there wasn't a huge amount of action. Obviously, in regards to talking points throughout the game. So it goes in at nils each. And I'm not going to lie, and I'm not sure how it came across on the telly for you, but I was getting a bit worried at that point because something just wasn't clicking at that moment in time. Going into the second half, Eddie Howe makes a few changes, which changed the game for me. Miggy coming on the field, he just got us up the field, 100%. I don't care if you're one of these fans that hates Miguel Almiron, but him coming on that field changed that game for us.
100%. Absolutely. I thought Murphy was absolutely atrocious again. Unfortunately, he's went back to the Murphy that was under Steve Bruce, where he just lacked confidence. I don't know whether it's after his injury or what, or he's just sort of playing back at his level, but he wasn't going in for tackles. His passing was poor. He kept coming inside as well, and they were really, really narrow. So he was just coming into a congested area, and we weren't getting any chances in the first half. I think we had one shot on target, which was that Longstaff one from literally like the touchline. So, and for the most part, I thought Blackburn had the better chances. I could think of at least 3 or 4 in the first half, and they're probably kicking themselves that they weren't ahead. But like you say, Miggy's come on, and I thought he did incredibly well. He's pace. He obviously we know he's got energy, but like you said, he was driving up the field, and even I thought his decision making and his composure, particularly for the goal as well, it was uncharacteristic of him. Like he usually just sort of like swings his left foot at it, but he done really well. He only picked out Gordon, but I think Gordon missed. I'm sure it was just before that. Gordon had a 1-on-1, and it was like something I would expect Joey to finish. Like he ran. I can't remember who played through. It might have been Willock.
People that don't know who Joey is his son, by the way.
On Saturday morning football, I've seen better finishes from him. And again, this is not to throw shade at Anthony Gordon, because he was probably one of our brighter sparks as well, and has been the whole season. But that was a very, very poor finish. But he did make up for it, obviously, with the goal.
Yeah, so those changes which we made, Nick, I think they came just on the 60th minute. So there's a trio of changes there. It was Isaac, Willock, and Jacob Murphy that went off the field to play, replaced by Barnes, Miley, and Almiron. And obviously, I've touched on Miley being not Miley, but on Miggy being the game changer. Barnes, when he came on, I'm not sure what your thoughts are on it, but he just looked a little bit off the pace for me. He just looked like he was always a step behind everything else, and he didn't really want to break into that stride and sprint for the ball at times. I'm not sure if that's worry in regards to injuries or what coming in from the cold, but it just didn't seem like a Harvey Barnes-esque performance when he came on.
Yeah, I think he was kind of in touch with the what we'd seen already on the pitch in terms of moving the ball too slowly and going sideways and backwards instead of as opposed to really what Miggy was doing. He was really pushing and pressing them, and then moving the ball quicker And that's what we needed really, because I think in general, we were just moving the ball so slow from side to side. Last night there was passes that were going that should have gone 2 or 3 passes before that, and it was giving them the chance to sort of to set and defend in numbers, which was then hard to break down, because to be fair to Blackburn, they defended really well.
They did.
So
honestly, their player that got the man of the match was Wharton, I believe, that got man of the match. He had an
central
absolute
midfielder,
cracker of a game, didn't he? He was just breaking the play up all day long and just really cool and composed. Just moving across into our goal, Ian. It's Miggy and Gordon that link up well. Gordon, like you've touched on, it's a great finish by Gordon as well. What do you know what it is? I think the more chances Gordon gets, the better he gets throughout the game. I think he's always guaranteed to miss a couple earlier on in the game. Then, as soon as that third chance arrives, he's scoring it all day long. At that point, I'm not going to lie, I thought the floodgates would have opened. I thought, right, I think that their tails will drop and they'll just be depressed as out that they've conceded after obviously lasting 70. I think it was just over 70 minutes. Gordon scored, so it's a long time of football which has been played beforehand. And I honestly thought it'd be a bit of a sucker punch for them after defending so well. But it wasn't the case, mate. Just a handful of minutes later, Blackburn get the equaliser from, once again, another defensive error from Newcastle United, and Jamal Lascelles just times everything wrong. It's an absolute diabolical way of defending, Ian.
I have to take some blame for this, because I said in the group chat, literally 5 minutes before it happened, Lascelles has been canny tonight, hasn't he? And so that was my fault, guys. I apologize. No, it's watching it back. Like, I just don't get what he's trying to do. He almost goes to go with his leg, but then doesn't. Then tries to go on ahead with his head, and then just runs, jumps past the ball. And even with the changes at the back that we've had, we're not blessed with pace at all. And I can't remember who. I think it's the lad that might be on loan from Brighton, runs through, has a shot, and I thought it hit the bar initially, but Dubravka tips that onto the bar, and it's an absolutely
great save. Yeah,
absolutely mint save. And then, like I say, we've got absolutely no pace to get back and cover that. And even Shaw, I thought maybe he could have done a bit better clearing it off the line, but if I'm honest, I thought Blackburn deserved that. But I'm in agreement with you. I thought once we got the first goal, because for maybe about 5-10 minutes before that, was started getting a little bit in behind them, but a little bit more and creating those chances. And yes, they weren't sort of coming to anything dangerous, but we're getting in behind, and you just felt like once we got the goal, we would get maybe another 1 or 2. But credit to Blackburn, they stayed in it, stayed compact, and then just punished with.
At that point, Ian, at that point, Nickel, what we saw there at Ewood Park when they scored that equaliser, that's the first time we really heard that their fan base in Ewood Park, and that's when it changed, didn't it? Because they got louder in the last 20 minutes of the game. It honestly, tears were up for Blackburn, because I honestly thought we were very, very lucky to take that extra time, because honestly, we were shambles after we conceded.
Yeah, I think we just, on the whole, we just look shaky anytime a team attacks us at the minute. It seems like they're gonna have a chance to score every time, and they did have a couple of chances to finish us off, to be honest. But yeah, they had the momentum going into the extra time, but then I'm sure we'll get onto it. It kind of balanced out again after that.
Yeah, it did. And do you know what it is? I'm not going to lie. As soon as we knew it was going to extra time and possibly penalties at that point, I'm looking at my clock thinking, I'm not getting bed till 2 o'clock here. After the match had already been delayed by 15 minutes. Let's not forget about that. Personally, I didn't have any issues getting it into the ground, but a lot of fans did. But yeah, 15 minutes delay at the very start, 8 o'clock kickoff, then extra time on top of it, then obviously penalties, but we'll get on the penalties in just a moment. What I did like from extra time is, and I'm not sure if they picked this up very well on the cameras, they must have done, because both players got booked for the scene, but it's something which we've been screaming for our players to do a lot more, is just take players down on the counter attack. And both Jamal Lascelles and Sean Longstaff did this.
Longstaff, yeah.
Where they basically just wanted a bit of a piggyback and they just broke play up. And do you know what? This was the last I was sat in your mate says, "What are they doing that for? Such a stupid foul to give away." And do you know what it is?
It was
I'm
needed.
applauding them at that point.
100, like you've seen the pace they broke with, like particularly the players that they brought on when they had a little bit fresher legs. It had some serious pace. I mean, it doesn't really take much to beat us in the back for pace anyway. But I thought after they scored their goal, so I think they had a chance where Dubravka saved it maybe with his legs or his foot, like literally in the last minute. Now I was like texting in the group chat, just thinking like they're going to go on and win it. Just like you said, the tails were up. We just looked so devoid of any confidence, any idea of how to play football. And then it was, I think, the first half of extra time when I think the ball basically just breaks in the box. Gordon has a shot, and the keeper does make. I think Gordon should still probably score. Keeper makes an all right save, but then Sean Longstaff, I genuinely don't know what he's doing. He kind of just like, it was almost like a cartoon, when like just get really, really dizzy and then just sort of fall over. That was literally his attempt at shooting. And like all he had to do, literally anywhere else, lifted off the ground, he just like trickled it towards him. I was furious because like fair enough, Gordon probably should have scored. Keeper's made a great save. The keeper's on the deck, like just lifted over him. But that was, I thought that just epitomised Sean Longstaff's performance last night, to be honest.
So like you said, Nick, that once again throughout the extra time, it does turn back more end to end. Newcastle getting another couple of chances. We should have buried it with a chance. I think Gordon had another chance later, and Barnes had a great chance as well. Absolutely snapped at it. That was a bit of a like just pinballing in the box, and it landed to Barnes, and Barnes just hit it with his left and didn't even hit the side net. Just goes behind the goal. That one. We'll move straight into the penalties because quite a big talking points on the penalties, which was so unsure last night. Luckily for Newcastle United, we win the coin toss and we get to choose that we are going to be shooting towards the Newcastle United fans. Always a big plus when that happens, because I honestly think that has such an impact. If I had been the other side, I would have been a hell of a lot less confident rather than shooting towards our fan base. Were you shocked to see Fabian Shaw step up to take that first penalty?
No, he's got ice in his veins when it comes to that spot, doesn't it? It was a brilliant penalty, wasn't it?
I don't think he's ever missed a penalty, He always takes them for Switzerland, and it's always that horrible, horrible slow motion pass. Like he just kind of like you cannot be asked. He's just sort of passing the ball back to like the but fair play to him. Like,
do you know what it's like?
Personally, I hated it, but
have you ever watched the golf where they'll take a shot and the ball will be pretty near the hole, then the golfer just walks over and he just taps the ball in the hole with no effort whatsoever. That's what Fabian Shaw's like. It's like, I can't even be asked to do this. I'm just doing it because I'm here. That's what it's like with Fabian.
But it's paid off for him and then obviously because we were taking the first, weren't we? Yeah,
we took first, yeah.
And then Dubravka pulls off a good save from I think was that I don't know how you pronounce it, Smodics, who scored the goal.
Yeah.
To be honest, that was a poor penalty. It was nowhere near the corner. It was a good height for him, but it
wasn't a great penalty. It wasn't, but like, do you know what it is? Dubravka is. I'm really confident when Dubravka's in goal for penalties, and after the game that he had as well, I thought great. Like, I'm really glad that it's him that's between the sticks tonight. I love Nick Pope as well. Nick Pope's decent at saving penalties, but Dubravka, I do like him in those sort of positions when he's put under pressure. Nickel, just to go back, is that obviously Dubravka saving that first penalty from Blackburn. Ball's now a court at that point.
Yeah. You think that's like the greatest start we could get off to. Shaw's popped one in very calmly, and then we've got the first save there. So you think we're sort of like we're one up there, but then obviously what happened next?
Up steps Harvey Barnes. So Harvey Barnes steps up, and all you've got to do with that penalty, keep our guesses the right way, and he's saving that all day long. There's not much pace in the ball, not much power in it.
It was just past the centre, wasn't it? It wasn't in the corner enough. So yeah. Yeah, decent save, but yeah, it wasn't a great penalty.
It's followed up by a few back-to-back goals. So Britain scores for Blackburn. Bruno steps up and Jesus Christ, that penalty technique
his
from Bruno
run-up's
Gomes.
horrible, isn't it?
It's the most frustrating thing I've ever seen in my life. The funny little skip and the stutter, then the side pass, and everything about that I hated, apart from the fact it hit the back of the net. Because if those go wrong, fans will not forgive you for that.
Well,
Like,
he did it a couple of seasons ago, didn't he?
Yeah,
was it against Burnley?
In the Carabao Cup, wasn't it?
Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
It was in the cup, if you remember right. It's
Oh,
when
no, sorry, it wasn't. It was against Palace.
Was it Crystal Palace when Pope?
It was Palace and Pope bailed him out, because that was when he went in the changing room and he sat with a face on. Yeah,
gutted, absolutely devastated, isn't he? In the photo, the only one that's the most miserable bloke in the world. I know. I think he was actually crying at full time as well, if I remember right.
He was, yeah.
I'm sure he was crying. Yeah, but either way, Bruno scores his penalty. It's followed up by Sigurdsson scoring for Blackburn. Elliot Anderson, who replaced Miley later on in the game, obviously would know the reason for that. So Elliot was there to take a penalty. It's a decent penalty from Elliot Anderson.
A lot of courage, that mind, considering he's been out since September.
I think this has happened before. I'm sure Anderson has been subbed on to take a penalty before. I can't. We might go back to that Palace game. I can't remember which one it was, but I'm sure I've seen it happen. But just quickly go through. Blackburn score that, and at this point, it's 4-4. And it all lands on Anthony Gordon. I was very surprised to see him the fifth penalty taker. I thought he would have been a bit earlier in there. But Gordon, great penalty from Gordon. And it is finished by another Martin Dubravka save, Nickel. Another great save from Dubravka.
Yeah. I think this one's better than the first one as well, because he's got to get further over, and I think he actually uses sort of the offhand that you would normally use on that side to save it. And the penalty struck with a bit more conviction, so it's a really good save, that one. And honestly, the feeling when he did it was more relief than joy. I would say it was like a thank goodness for that. Like, it's done. Because it was a long night. It was quite
muted celebrations, wasn't it? If you look back, it was quite muted celebrations. The way end didn't go wild or anything like that you would normally see. But I think it's because it was quite a very, very frustrated night watching the lads, because it was painful at times. I'm not going to lie and try and sugarcoat this, because we got through. Like I said at the very start of this one, we scraped our way through that. The better team lost that game last night. People might disagree with me, but I honestly thought Blackburn, they deserved that a hell of a lot more than what we did. And credit to them, because like I said on Monday night, I thought that strong team which we put out, I thought we would have steamrolled them. Honestly, I thought we would have done. And then especially going a goal up at that point, like I mentioned, I thought we would have got a couple more. It just wasn't meant to be. And we were speaking to a couple of Blackburn fans on the way out, and they didn't understand how they had lost that game. We haven't even touched on the talking point where Fabian Shaw tries to catch that ball mid-air.
No idea what he's doing.
How the referee hasn't seen that, because I saw it and I'm at the other end of the field. No idea how the officials haven't seen that. So if I'm a Blackburn fan, I'm pissed off that situation, because
would you say
at that point?
No. So he was about halfway inside their half, but I think he was literally the last man. Trippier, I think might have been Trippier. Trippier was the one covering, but he was about five yards further forward. But I think he acts like he gets pushed mid jump, but he doesn't. He just completely misreads it, and then it's like he's going for a basketball tip. So what I wanted to know is, would that have been a red card? Because if it's over share, whoever it is, they're forward, he's in on goal. Like, it's a clear goal scored.
They would have to judge it if it was intentional. That's what they look at to see was it a deliberate handball.
Brings his hand, so he's like, say the clock. Where is it? There. I can't find it.
For those audio listeners.
For those audio listeners, yeah. Like, say that's the ball, he brings his hand back towards it, like to hit it. So it's for me clearly deliberate, and we got away with one there massively.
Yeah, I think if there was VAR, we would have been down to 10. I think, and that would have obviously changed. That would have obviously changed. Well, our game plan and everything, and they would have got their tails up again.
Those that are listening or watching, I get it, and I know this one might have came across as quite a depressing one to listen to, but do you know what it is? I just thought we were unbelievably lucky to get through that. I thought it was. I thought, like I said, I thought it was a very, very tough watch as a Newcastle fan. Being there, the atmosphere wasn't great, Nickel. It was quite flat at times from the Newcastle end, and obviously from the Blackburn end as well. Obviously, they had one of the worst protests I've ever seen in my life, mind, by throwing those tennis balls. I think there was a total of 7 tennis balls went on the field, and that's me not taking the piss. But if you're going to try and organize some sort of protest, you've got to make sure everybody's on board with this one, because honestly, that was quite embarrassing. That, to be fair, and I know we've done things that have been embarrassing as well. So I'll hold my hands up there. We've done some absolute honking things as a fan base in relation to protests. It wasn't a great night apart from we got through in the end, and I think that's all I have to leave it at, Nicola. I'm not sure what your thoughts were being there in the action.
I think on the atmosphere, I think it was very loud in parts, but I think it was a mixture of nerves and frustration at what we were seeing and experiencing. I think where there was sort of quiet lulls as well. When passes were going out into touch or passes were getting moved too slowly, it was sort of killing the crowd a bit. And obviously there was a lot of us there. It was 7,500. So when we were when we were singing, it was really loud. It felt like a home game, to be honest. When we were going in and leaving the ground, when we were going into the ground and leaving, there was more Newcastle fans than Blackburn was. But I think trying to be positive. I think if you're gonna get to a cup final or semi-final at Wembley, then you're gonna have to have some luck on the way. And maybe last night was our luck. And fair play to us for actually, we still got through. We didn't play the best, but we're through, and we're in the draw, which is about to be made. So let's hope we're not done over again in the draw.
And another game without injuries as well, Ian. That's another positive take from
I mean, can you put it down to the likes of Barnes, Isak, Willock not having much game time? Because I was sitting looking at that team, and bar maybe 2 or 3 positions, that's a full strength squad, and you are struggling. So, like you say, very, very frustrating, very disappointing in the performance, but all that matters is he got over the line. But it's like I say, for me, that was a chance to really show, no, we're still the same team as last season. We can still go at teams, but even against Blackburn, we just still looked so passive, so timid. It's almost like we've lost our identity.
My worry is, Ian, and I'm not sure if anybody else agrees with us. If people disagree in the comments, is that game? Excuse me. I'm going to say I've got the worst sore throat in the world as well. That game, I was hoping for some sort of reaction from the Arsenal game, some sort of positive momentum going into the likes of the game against Wolves at the weekend. That's just made me even more nervous going into the Wolves game, because we've won ugly against Blackburn, and Wolves are a decent team as well. They're playing really well at the moment, Wolves, and just our current run of form and performances haven't been very good, and I'm putting that very politely. It worries us going in that game at the weekend. Then obviously West Ham following it not long after as well. 2 of the teams that will be challenging alongside.
Yeah, I think Saturday is a really big game with it being at home as well, because I was listening to TalkSport on the drive back, and they said that we haven't. I mean, this is TalkSport. I don't know how reliable this is. We haven't won a home game since mid-December.
That was Fulham.
That sounds probably about right to me. So I think Saturday is a big game for more the performance as well, but obviously to get a result at home as well, and to obviously to get us fans sort of thinking a bit more positively about the season, because it feels like even though we're in the next round of the cup and we've still got a chance of Europe, it seems like we're still a bit low about how this season's gone.
Well, have you
just seen the messages? Yeah.
Yes, as we have been recording, I just want to highlight this on Nickel. We have just drew Manchester City away.
Told you, didn't I? So said before we came on that we're guaranteed to get drawn against them. All that stress last night just to get beat off Man City.
And Man City, what was their final score? 6-2, was it?
6-2, yeah.
Haaland scoring 5.
Haaland got 5. Bring it on, lads. Bring it on.
Oh, come on.
Away
would
as
have been
well.
nice.
We haven't had
It would
a
have
It's a
home
roller
tie.
coaster, lads.
It would have been nice to have a home draw as well.
Mm.
Like,
I don't
yeah.
think we've had one also, other than obviously the Champions League games. I don't think we've had a home tie at all in the cups. Oh no, sorry, Man City. Man City in the League Cup was the only home one we've had.
Yeah, all the FA Cups have been away. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was always going to
Oh,
happen,
you
lads,
just
wasn't
knew
it?
it. You just knew it. You just knew it.
Oh well.
well, yeah.
We'll end it there. We'll end it there. Look, at least we've got Europe to play for, lads. Thanks everybody that has been watching this one. If you're all watching on YouTube, just like the video, it means a lot to us. Become a subscriber. We're nearly at 11,000 at the moment. If you want to give an extra bit back, it is just $2.99 a month to become a member. I promise you, it's normally a bit more upbeat than this at times. If you do become a member, you get early access to videos, you get extra videos, you get access to the Telegram group. There's around about 200 people in that group now, and on a match day, they normally meet up with each other as well. It's always a good night out with them, not from the Telegram group as well. We'll be doing some sort of events throughout the rest of the year as well, which will go out to Telegram members as well, and those are members of the channel. If you're listening to the audio as well, just give us a 5-star review if you've liked this. Leave a little comment as well. Help us get across to other like-minded Newcastle United fans. We'll see us on the next one. Wolves at the weekend. We'll be back with a match preview for that game coming up in the next couple of days as well, and we'll take it from there. See you later. Ta-ra.